Greetings and welcome to the Thirsty Mage, the virtual pub where we're talking about the alternate name to the movie E.T. Yes, I'm your host, David Lloyd, and no, this episode isn't about aliens. It's a spoiler cast on the latest 2D HD... Did I say that? 2D HD? Yeah, I always get mixed up with that.
I think it's the other way around.
Oh, is it HD 2D? I always confuse it, yeah. But yeah, we're doing a spoiler cast on The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales. Yes, technically that is the full title. But joining me is a man who is just as perplexed as to why they bothered with the subtitle. It's Jordan Rudick.
Well, my hope for the subtitles is that it's going to become a series, and it'll just be The Adventures of Elliot, plural, more tales to come, or it'll be something else after that. That's my hope, anyways, with this kind of fledgling voyage here. But yeah, good to hop on with you, David. I obviously have reviewed the game around the time of launch, so it's been a hot minute since I've had a chance to talk about it. But some feelings have been percolating, and you bringing this topic up for us to chat about today. It'll be good, especially because you're very high on this game, I think. And I was a little bit surprised by that. So I want to hear more of why you fell in love with it so hard.
Yeah. So it's funny. So I started playing the game on Steam. I played the demo, and I actually did purchase the Steam version. I think I played like 10 minutes of it. And then my whole thing with my Xbox went down, where I was like, yeah, screw this Series X thing. So I traded it and got the Switch 2. And then I was about to continue playing on my Steam Deck, and I just basically wow, I'd rather give this, this seems like the perfect first game for a Switch 2. It looks like it's perfect for handheld. It's Square Enix. I couldn't ask for a better game to play first. So thankfully, years of purchasing Steam games and a liberal Steam refund policy allowed me to refund my Steam version so I could pick up a Switch 2 version. I got very confused over how the physical copy worked, so I just ended up buying the digital copy. But I was pretty blown away with the Adventures of Elliot. I kind of went in thinking that this was going to be the most polite way I can put it is an homage to Legend of Zelda.
Yeah,
I was very concerned that it was just going to be a Temu version of Legend of Zelda.
I mean, the title does that already, right? Like it's named exactly like a Zelda game is, and that's it's good that you kind of called that out earlier on, because I think that it could very well be what their thought is here, right? The Legend of Zelda or Adventures of Elliot will just keep doing subtitles, maybe even experiment later with different genres and stuff too would be cool. But yeah, for sure. I was going to say, you don't need to give an excuse, David, for purchasing multiple copies of a Square Enix game. Okay, they know your shtick by now. There's no subterfuge going on here. But good that you were able to refund it. I always forget about the Steam's very generous policy there. So good that you ended up with just one copy, one digital copy on Switch too. Did you carry over your demo progress as well, or no? Because you did the demo on Steam.
I demoed on Steam, so I had to start over again. But which was fine, because it's like playing on Steam Deck and playing on Switch 2 is it feels much different, just because the button layouts it's all kind of in the same area, but the buttons are much smaller on the Switch 2 compared to the Steam, and you're kind of holding it in a different way. So it was and this one, it's funny, the Adventures of Elliot, there's a lot of, you kind of have to get into a comfortable position holding, because there is a lot of button pushing with, there's like two different weapons to push, but then your shield is up on one of the shoulder buttons. And I think I ended up I usually never change button presses, but I'm fairly certain I had switched the shield. I believe the shield was on one button, and I switched it to another because it just didn't feel natural. So, but the joke was on me, because I very rarely use my shield throughout the game.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was waiting for you to say that so I could say the exact same thing. I almost never used it. Like, you have weapons mapped to two buttons, so you might as well just use those instead, right? Like, again, even in like if I'm normally playing a Zelda game, I'm probably not using a shield that much anyways. I'd rather just be on the offensive, but there's a lot of ways to get around enemies and just do damage to hit them out of hitting you or beat them first or whatever, right? Like there's very few times where I felt that I really really needed it. Maybe in a higher difficulty, maybe, but for
Yeah.
not for the normal one.
No, I was very much a dash and attack type player. So I was abusing. I think for the majority of my game, I actually had Faye set to like the speed boost,
Me
and
too.
I
Yeah.
would just abuse that thing. Like she was always running out of magic because
Yeah. Yeah.
I just like
Same.
constantly had the dash going, whether it was in boss fights or whatever. But
It felt really good. The dash feels genuinely good to you. Like you're kind of floating almost. It's not like I'm thinking like Link to the Past, for example, of course, because of what we grew up with. Link to the Past, like kind of running, you kind of like tread for a little bit, and then you start sprinting after that, and it's like a charge. This is more like flying or floating almost,
yeah,
right? And it makes sense because she kind of puts the wings on your back. But I loved the feel of it. Ice skating actually is the reference I
oh
get to,
yes,
right? It
yeah,
feels kind of
because
floaty like that.
yeah. Yeah, and you kind of slide, and
Yeah.
when you try to turn it, it's not just like you're not turning on a dime.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a bit of an arc sort of thing. So it's and I mean, my family was used to hearing Elliot go, oof,
Oh,
oof,
me too. Yeah,
oof,
yeah, of
oof.
course. Yeah. With all the
They
dashing around.
kept it into things.
Same here.
There was so much sound things in this game, whether it's like
Hmm.
Elliot, well, even with like Elliot fighting, there was a lot of yeah,
Oh yeah.
and then a lot of Faye explaining everything at every moment for the most part.
It's a
Uh,
very chatty game overall. Just
yes,
it's filled with sound. There's always some kind of sound being made. There's very little silence actually.
yeah,
I think that works to its detriment in some parts. And hilariously, I think it was maybe a week ago, the game got a patch to actually turn off Faye or turn off the
yeah, I
chatting
saw that.
entirely, right? Which is hilarious, right? So good on them for listening to fan feedback.
Yeah.
A shame that wasn't like a pre-launch kind of feature. Like I think
They were
gamers,
caught off guard though. They
yeah,
honestly didn't believe that people would be that upset over the how much talking there was, and I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle because like it didn't bother me at all, but I understand why others didn't like it. I guess.
I didn't. I'm closer to your position. I didn't hate it, but I did think it was too much. I wish that it's funny that you have two options built in, like chatty or reticent or something. It was some funny term for it.
Yeah.
Um, and the toggles seem to do nothing to me. Like if what we got was the lower setting, like heaven help you if you're playing on the higher the higher chattiness setting,
Yeah.
what that app would actually look like. But yeah, good on them for adding the option later on eventually.
Well, I love how like I think by the 20th cracked wall, and Faye was like, "Hey, that's a cracked wall. Do you think a bomb would work on it?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes, Faye. It worked on the last 19, so I guess the 20th should work too."
It's like every time you switch to a new millennium in the game, a new age, she forgets that she's reminded
Yeah.
you of this countless times, right? Her brain resets a la Men in Black or something like that. So I don't know. It was a hilarious thing. Or like, oh, here's a cave. Like we've been in like 30 caves. Like oh, I wonder where it's gonna lead or something like that.
Well,
Yeah.
there's even funny instances where we walk in and there's like clearly a riddle or puzzle to solve, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, I'm like, this is what I have to do, and I'm thinking this in my head, and then like half a second later, she's like, "This is what you need to do." I'm like,
Yes, of course.
God damn it.
Yeah. She doesn't see your brain like the gears turning and you're this close to working it out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's her tolerance for your thinking is very, very low. Which is
yeah,
funny.
yeah. But yeah, like I mean, to me, it just everything, besides the chattiness, I guess, was working well. Like the story was surprisingly, like I couldn't believe how detailed the story was, how many layers it had to it. Um, I knew there was a time traveling mechanic to the game, but shocked at how well they pulled off the story, because like how many time travel stories are just like complete garbage. And to me, they did a strong job on doing that. Um,
I thought so too.
the
I thought that like just the the reasons compelling you to go to the next ages, and the way that kind of wraps up in the ending, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little
Yeah,
bit later on. But yeah, I my gripe was that the ages or the world didn't feel different enough, but the narrative did feel substantial. Like
yeah,
I liked the little story going on within the central village of each time frame, right? I
yeah,
thought that was like, oh, they're all very different, right? They're dealing with like the problems of their age. You see the kind of progression of magic in society, and that being kind of a big theme of the game of like, should people have, the Prometheus giving fire to humans? Should humans have magic or not? And then you see in some of the future ages about how, the kind of the robots kind of running amok kind of thing, like, oh, we've gone too far type of idea. So yeah, I thought kind of theme from a theme standpoint, the way that time travel kind of played a role, and how each of the villages felt like its own space, and you meet different characters and they're kind of like, I guess, representative of that era as well, and you kind of form an attachment to them. I loved the arts, the kind of the character portraits that would pop up. I thought those were really cool,
yeah,
really well done. So it
yeah.
was always fun to meet new characters in the ages and see like, hey, how am I going to interact with these folks now?
Yeah, well, and I'll say though, it is a clever reuse of assets in the sense that like they took like they had one world of like the skeleton of like this is everything is in the same place, but then for each era there might be something different. Like there is, I love in like the area you start off with, there's like this rundown home in the middle of kind of where the beast tribes are, and then you go back in time and they see like the guy who was working there previously, and then you go back in time a little bit more and you see them starting to work on it, and like
Yeah.
it's neat that way, I guess, in the sense of like they've made a bigger world uh, with utilizing assets. Like it feels very old school in that sense of like
Yes, for sure.
finding a way to get more out of less sort of thing. It's like, okay, we have this restriction. How can we abuse it, or how can we use it to our advantage, sort of things.
I mean, we're going to keep doing this, I think, because you and I probably maybe more in alignment. And I'm curious if you saw the mana influences here as well, because I think there were some comments about that on my review.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of, especially the first mana game, kind of that influencing Elliot. But I see this map so much like a facsimile of Hyrule in the first Legend of Zelda game on NES. Like the
Yeah,
way that it's kind of divided into zones. The yes, the dungeons are kind of they're more hidden in Zelda. They've just kind of like made them more transparent here. But all the secrets, the fact that you're bombing caves, you're finding treasures in the overworld, like it just felt, even the size of it felt like the size of the original Zelda map. And so I could never shake that. Every new kind of time era, I guess, era of time that you would go to in Elliot, I'm thinking, oh, I'm kind of restarting that Zelda map again, almost reminding me a little bit of the second quest to an extent, with things kind of being moved around a little bit, or you needing to find all the treasures again, or something like that. Even just the constant progression, like the trials for the heart pieces, or for new abilities, or for upgrading phase capabilities as well. Yeah, so much Zelda DNA in
yeah,
here. But did you feel like the maybe less a secret of mana influence, but the sword of mana, or whatever the first mana game was?
yeah.
Um,
The Sword of Mana I think was the first GBA game.
yeah,
Yeah. Um.
I guess Seiken Densetsu, like the very first game that was in that collection of mana as well.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
even game. It wasn't a Game Boy game. Not even GBA. I think.
No, yeah. There was what was it? Final Fantasy Adventure was the
Yeah, that's right. That's what we got. That's what it was called in the West. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I got shades of that because that was supposed to be like the Square Zelda type game back then. Was
Yes. Yes.
that one on Game Boy? It's funny. I feel like they went through all of the Zelda games and just took out pieces of each one
Yes. Sure.
because
Sure.
to me, yeah, you definitely get that original NES vibe. You get kind of like a taste of the combat from like because I got a lot of Link to the Past
Yeah. Me too.
kind of vibes from the combat, but then you also get the like you said the shrines from like Breath of the Wild, and you get the time
Absolutely. Yes.
traveling from
Yeah.
Ocarina. Like it's funny that it has all these little pieces that I don't imagine they sat in a room and be like, okay, what can we take from this and this or whatever. But to me, like clearly the people making the game, have played these games before because it had a lot of that feel to it. So, but I feel like they did enough though to differentiate itself from Zelda, the franchise. Like, and I don't know whoever designed the battle system deserves an extra beer after work or something, because like the just the amount of variety of how you could tackle this game is insane to me. When you think of like all the different weapons, like that scythe, I went through the majority of the game playing with that particular weapon, but then I could have used the hammer way more than I did, because that was really fun. Like the boomerang was, or whatever that boomerang type weapon was, I was having fun with. And then I really didn't. I don't even think I really used the bow and arrow until the final boss, which was hilarious.
I ended up switching. I would switch around a little bit when one of my weapons got an upgrade. Right, if I found the new version of something, like the rank 2 or the rank 3, I guess they're star rankings, right? So once one of your weapons get upgraded, I'm like, oh, okay, let's switch to that one because that's going to be more powerful right now, and that will also incentivize me to play around with the Magicite system a little bit more, because now I'm using a new weapon and maybe I hadn't set up my Magicite for that weapon yet because I hadn't really been using it. Like I never used the spear, I didn't use the hammer, but I did move around between the bow and the boomerang, and then the sword and the scythe weapon. I ended up, kind of settling on the scythe, especially for that charge attack where it just keeps whirling around you. I eventually got a Magicite equipped where it's shooting fireballs out. I mean,
I love that.
Everything, right? Fire is really powerful in this game. I had a Magicite for my bow, which would also set enemies on fire like 10 or 20% of the time or something. So that was really helpful against a lot of the mini bosses too. But I did want a little bit more out of the Magicite system, but I did love the kind of the weapons and how you could find one that was your own, and that it is a nice reward to find those different tiers of weapons where like every weapon, I guess outside of the bombs, could have its own next level to reach. And then I don't think I ended up getting the level 3s for all of the weapons, but I did seek them out for my main weapons because I wanted to make sure that those were the most powerful going into the final boss fights. So
for the Magicite, like I loved the bonuses they gave. I did not love the inventory management. I don't know, and I don't even know how they could make it better. Like, because at the end of the day, I ended up just letting Faye choose everything. Like I would basically what I would do is, I get a bunch of crystals, and then whenever I happen to be in the village, I'd hand them in to the guy, and then I just get the random whatever Magicite, and then when it would go into my inventory, I'd just be like, all right, I just went through every single one and let Faye choose. I did not. I think that the first time I got the Magicite, I chose the different options, and then I'm like, this isn't worth my time. It's Faye's problem now. So then I would just be surprised when a bonus came. Like I think there was I had one that allowed the bombs to be like super bouncy, and so it was just more of a shock than anything, because I like put the bomb down and threw it, and it like came back at me, and I'm like, what is going on?
So I didn't sign up for this.
I
know, although I guess in his mind, I guess you did, right?
So that was a fun experience there. But when the scythe can shoot fire, that was hilarious, because there was in the late game of the story, there's like where you have to fend off waves of enemies.
Yes, I remember those.
I just stood there and let the scythe like do the circle, and the fire was just going all over everybody, and I was just like, well, this turned out to be quite easy.
It really made short work of those, which I think are supposed to be pretty tense sequences, right? Like, the town's potentially being overrun, and you're just like a whirling dervish tornado in the middle of it all, like destroying everything. I think for one of them, at least, you're supposed to like defend, or you've got like a partner character. I'm like, just have a nap back there. You're fine. We don't. I'll handle this. It's one of those like anime sequences where one character's like got the hand out, like I'll handle this. I'll step in and take care of it. Right. So you kind of pull the hero move there.
Faye's like, "Are we gonna be all right?" And I'm just sitting there having a coffee with one hand.
Yeah, are they going to be all right? Is the better
Yeah.
question. I don't know if they're going to survive any of this, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was good. I liked the how you had to in order. So it may be good to talk about some of the endings here because I think the I haven't heard a lot of blowback necessarily from the fact that there are multiple endings. The game does a good job of directing you towards each of those if you don't get the true ending on your own. But I am curious how you kind of arrived at these, David. If you had gotten one of the previous endings and that kind of directed you towards what you need to do to get the true one, or if you had gotten some insight from somewhere and like, oh, okay, I know I need to do A, B, and C first. Like, how did you kind of navigate that part?
Well, so when they first started talking about the Beast, it was clear like that was the. Well, I guess the first thing I'll say is I knew there were multiple endings just because I hadn't finished the game in time to the point where I could see people like, what's I got a bad ending, what the hell? So I kind of, as I was going through the game, I knew that this was coming, so I'm like, okay, clearly I'm just going to keep an eye out because if I can skip the bad ending, I might as well.
Sure.
And I feel like they do a good enough job of show like I don't know what they're kind of hinting towards the fact that okay, here's the boss, we can go get them, but
Yes,
there was
yeah.
always this but, and so I was like, okay, well, you know what, I'm just gonna do the quests because I'm assuming that you're gonna need to do all the quests if you want the good ending. So I just focused on the quests, and I think as you're doing those quests, and I'll just say that I think every single quest was meaningful, and like there was no, I didn't feel like there's any like throwaway quests. Like they all seemed to have a very, like they told more of the story. Like there was no waste of time fetch quests in my
I found that as well. I definitely wanted to kind of praise that or highlight as a strength for my review is that the encounters with people, even if like the reward was just some extra crystals or gems or whatever, some currency, the kind of progress of the story and seeing kind of the resolution, what would happen with the character or how they would kind of come to appreciate Elliot for giving them closure or something like that. I thought those moments were touching. I'm sure they didn't all have the same high points, but I for the most part found myself, if I started one, I would generally see it through just because I was curious, how different people in different eras would respond or what was kind of going on behind the scenes. But I did like how, like I said, each town kind of had its own main story. And you need to go through that in order to see the true ending. And I think that makes a lot of sense, right? That Elliot is this time traveler going from time period to time period, past and future, and trying to make improvements there or to leave it better than how he found it, right? And so they all have kind of a conflict that they're going through, and he is that linchpin or that wrench that kind of comes in and fixes everything. And you have to make sure every time period's problems are addressed before you can get like your happy ending, I guess, or get the true ending, right? So I thought that was a good mechanic that just makes a lot of sense. They don't need to signpost that even too much. You kind of understand that there is something happening in each of these villages. And you just by talking to people, they'll leave you like, oh, where is so-and-so? Or I was waiting for this person to come back. And then so you're kind of that go-between and you figure out kind of what's happening with them. Again, a very Zelda-like thing, but the departure from Zelda is that Elliot has a lot more character and personality than Link does. Like he's not so much a blank slate. Like he's very plucky, he's very positive, and he wants to help everybody. And yeah, he's stereotypical hero stuff, but I did still feel like he was a lot more fleshed out as a character than in some other games where it's just kind of an analog for the player, right?
Yeah. Well, I feel like he had enough personal tragedies to overcome where it's not like, well, he's not just a typical happy-go-lucky hero. Like the guy went through some stuff, and but he's kept his positivity, and I think that's the message to take away from it is like, he's gone through a lot, and then even when he's going through, I guess that's the other thing I'll say about how I ended up with the true ending is that. So again, like I was kind of on the lookout, and then so that you need to find the 3 sages, which they do like tell you, so
Yes,
that's not
yes.
hidden per se. The part that you might not find is what you said about you have to go to each of the different times to rectify the situations that
Yeah.
get resolutions. That one I just kind of fell into by mistake because I happened to be like going to get something, and then in one of the, I think it might have been the Age of Magic, and something triggered, like a cutscene triggered, and then it was clear that there was things to do, so I went through them all, and then I'm like, okay, I have a feeling that I'm supposed to be doing this in other eras too, so I kept going to the other eras to be
Yeah.
like okay, where's the cutscene triggers? And then every time I got a new one, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like there's clearly like this is a thing, so I got to figure all this out. Um, so they do signpost pretty well. Like, but
Yeah.
I can see how the way they do set it up is you could end up fighting the final boss before getting those things for sure. Like I had even thought about it. Um, Again, I think the only really thing that maybe stopped me from getting the bad ending was the fact that I wanted to finish all the quests that were
Hmm.
available first. And I guess the other thing too is that I knew there were quests missing because it's like, okay, there's empty squares there. There's no
Yeah,
way
it
that,
shows you. That's right. Yeah, you've got a
yeah,
list of all the quests. Yeah.
like there's obviously something somewhere. So I part of those resolutions filled in the last of the gap. So
So one of the funny things that happens when you're reviewing games pre-launch, right, is that you don't have the collective insights of other people to draw
yeah,
upon, right? So you don't know that you're supposed to be looking for things, and so signposting or some kind of guidance or direction is a little bit more helpful because you're flying a little bit more blindly. So I did end up getting all three endings, so bad, good, and then true ending. And I thought that was fine. I didn't feel dissatisfied by that. I thought that like, oh, because they kind of give you a little badge and there's like a little image that plays at the end, which was nice to see all of those. So I did feel like by unlocking all three, I was kind of completing the game in a way, right? I was
yeah,
seeing all the different possibilities. The boss fights are maybe a little bit different. Even the fact that you get messaging that tells you uh, for example, after getting the bad ending or the good ending, it tells you, oh, here's what you haven't done yet, basically, right? It alludes to you finding something or completing something else. So it does have that built-in mechanism for guiding you towards the eventual true ending, which is, yeah, it is more time consuming for sure, but the payoff is that much greater. Again, this is a spoiler cast. I think we can say that the final battle is much more dramatic and interesting and engaging
yeah,
compared to the one of the previous two endings, right? The bad and the good ending. There's a lot more to do if you go through the true ending, just in terms of battles that you're fighting, cutscenes, kind of just the cinematics of it all. Like it's a lot more engrossing, right? I think you would say, David.
yeah. The battle with the real villain Demise there. I almost threw my Switch uh, onto the ceiling because I don't know if I'm curious. I'm curious if it forces this to happen or not.
Hmm.
But I died in the final phase of the fight. So
Yes.
when you
Yes.
first start fighting Demise the dragon, there's actually a few phases. There's one where there's like a Star Fox phase where
Yeah.
you're like
Yeah.
riding.
I love multi-phase fights where
Yeah,
like they're different genres. That's always fun.
yeah. So you're riding on the back of a phoenix, and you're shooting. You're trying to blast Demise out, so it's like a phoenix and a flying dragon. So you're trying to shoot Demise, but then you're also like, so you kind of you do control the phoenix, I guess. With
Control. Yeah.
yeah, so you kind of can go left and right
But you also
to
control Elliot at the same
yeah,
time, right? So
yeah,
you're dodging projectiles that are
yeah,
approaching the Phoenix, which you're kind of riding on, but also shooting fireballs from the
yeah.
Phoenix's mouth, something like that.
Well, and then
It's like a
Demise can
twin
drop
stick kind of
those
thing,
orbs on, so
right?
you got to attack them to get them off the Phoenix too. And
Yeah,
so there's like yeah, so there's that, and then when you shoot them or when you finally get Demise down enough health, it goes back to kind of like the traditional battle where Demise has certain attacks, so you just have to figure out the pattern, dodge attacks, attack or whatever, and keep fighting. When you get Demise down to a certain level or a certain health, you drop down into so the ground breaks below you, and you kind of drop onto a new battlefield. And when you're in that battlefield, if you die, um, it goes to the game over screen where you would then pay Faye to revive you. Um, I was not expecting Demise to break the fourth wall and break through the menu screen and eat
Yeah,
Faye.
yeah.
Like that was insane to me. I'm like, holy smoke! Like it was such a shock. It was like so well done. Like it was perfect. Like
Well, it really instilled that sense of tension of like, oh, I can't just rely on this thing that I've been using throughout the game. You know, like, oh, I've got so
yeah,
much money saved up. I'm happy to just pay 50 or 100 crystals if I die a couple times. That Faye will just bring me back. This was like, oh, this is it. Like, if I fail
yeah,
here, how much am I going to have to redo? To do I have to go get all my potions again or whatever? Like
yeah,
it really makes you feel like it's a do or die moment, and those are, you know, we live for those in RPGs where we're on our last attempt or our last
yeah,
legs, our last attack, and we need it to succeed. Of course, because this is an action game, there's even more tension. It's not just pressing a button and seeing what the RNG gives us. You actually have to skillfully win this last phase of the fight.
yeah,
So that it was an amazing moment for sure. It certainly elevated the game overall to me. It was this amazing true ending battle, and all the things that go into kind of getting to that ending were amazing. So
yeah.
yeah, I was kind of questioning if people, just from some of the feedback I was seeing about the game or thoughts people had about the game on Reddit and other places, like, oh, did they not do the true ending? Like,
Oh
if
yeah,
you were disappointed with how the game wrapped up, did you not do this final phase, which is incredible? Like,
yeah.
it's a really really great moment.
Yeah, well, that was the thing too. Well, so I will admit that when Faye got eaten, I turned off my game and tried it again
Oh
because
my
I'm
gosh, nice.
like I don't want to end this game with it. This is ridiculous. I can't let Faye die. So I closed it, started up back up again, did the whole fight all over again, and got to the point where the bomb dropped, but I still couldn't break the bomb in time for it not to kill me. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is mandatory. Maybe this just has to happen. So I'm like, okay, I'll go through it, and I'm thinking Faye's gonna come back. Something will happen, and Faye will come back, whatever. And thankfully she does. Or I would have been trying to figure out how to do it, but the endings like that whole boss battle just like I think it was very well done. Like I was cursing out that dragon by the end. Like they made it emotional even though the dragon really was not in any like it was kind of like this. It was a very Final Fantasy. um this is not the real villain. Here's the real villain that you've never heard throughout the entirety of the game, but this is the real big bad. Like it was a very Square Enix style reveal at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
But I still think it was done enough. But it's funny. Uh, being inquisitive, I still like did somebody figure out how to break that dang bomb so they don't have to die? And apparently, the trick is to duplicate yourself with Faye, and you double your
Right.
attack.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that.
Some of those. So one of the things I didn't maybe hit for me as much was that some of the later powers you get from Faye, I just didn't end up using it. I think had I used them, I would have been really like, oh, this is really helpful here. But I
Yeah,
got kind of stuck in that rut of like, here's the weapon I like, here's the Faye ability I like, you know, and I'm kind of just playing it through that way, right? But um,
yeah,
if there was a puzzle to solve, yeah, I'm like switching powers or switching abilities as I need to. But it's just in terms of like getting to the end of the game and like the most of the minute to minute gameplay, I was kind of sticking with what had been working for me. But I guess it's a nice thing kind of built into a game like this is you can find what works for you. And play it that way, or you do a new game plus and play it a little differently, whatever, right? Like there's
yeah,
so much of the world that actually hadn't explored by the end, just because like I was rushing to get the game done, of course, with an embargo and stuff. And I think one of the last ages that you unlock, I don't know if it was Enlightenment or if there's one after that, I can't remember. Um, the like top left corner of the map, or the whole left side of the map was still
Yeah.
kind of covered in
Yeah.
fog for me, because you don't really you don't have to go there. Like, you can if you
No.
want to, and you need to bolster your heart meter and stuff like that, you can. But I never felt like I needed to go there. So I guess depending on your skill level or your experience with the games like this, you are going to see more or less of it, maybe, which is, again, that flexibility is good.
Yeah, it kind of depends on like your mentality of checklist sort of thing, because like I didn't I had, I think, like the first row and then maybe like a couple extra hearts on the second row. So I certainly didn't get all anywhere near all of the shards of health, or the shards of life, I guess. Um but the um and then I didn't get all of the weapon upgrades either. So
Yeah,
there
yeah,
was
yeah, exactly, same.
still tons that could have been done from that point of view. I guess like if for people who do the New Game Plus, like I don't think we're really representative of the general public in the sense of like
No, no, for sure.
how many hours people put into games. Like I think we have so many on the go that we probably if I'm sure more people are putting more time into it to find all these things.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
just not rushing through games, right? Like, it might be someone's like, this is the one game I'm going to play this month, and I'm going to play the heck out of it, and like, okay, that makes sense. You're going to see a little bit more of this game than we
yeah,
did. That's great. Like, I think that when you have, I guess, the openness of a game like this, the kind of some non-linear parts to it, where you can be super thorough and completionist about it. And I bet you we both walked into this thinking, I'm going to see and do everything, but
yeah,
eventually the backlog comes knocking again, or you look at the
yeah,
calendar, you're like, oh, there's this game coming out. Like, for example, I'm really excited about Splatoon Raiders coming out next week. My kids and I are going to be playing that, and so there's always something on the horizon, right? But I think we did both have a really great time with this. I'm sure that you would echo my sentiment that I'm hoping for another one in this series. Like, I'd love to see Elliot return in some fashion. It doesn't have to be like a time travel type tale necessarily, but something else with this character and
yeah.
these mechanics would be great.
I think if I was if I was in the Square Enix office, what I would say to them is, send him, make him like an Adel.
Yeah,
Send him somewhere else. Be
sure.
like, oh, I'm going off on an adventure outside the kingdom. Or maybe like somebody shows up and they're like, oh, we need help. Or our kingdom that's a boat ride away or whatever is in duress, and Elliot, being the helpful duty, is just like, oh, I'll come with you and we'll figure it out or whatever. Or they could do like a Link's Awakening style where like
Sure.
he's on a boat and he gets washed away. Well, that would be very Adel too, I guess.
I mean, that's easy, right? Yeah, get
Yeah,
it, go on a boat and go somewhere, right? I
yeah,
mean, that's an easy setup for the next game for sure, and that's why the E series is kind of they've kind of I guess trademarked that almost. That Adel's always, he's on a boat going somewhere, or he wakes up somewhere, or he's telling his stories from the past as their conceit that they use. But yeah, you
yeah.
could very easily do something like that for Elliot. I'd love to see what they do next. I mean, again, there, if you're leaning into games like from the Zelda series, the Ys games, the Mana games, there's a lot to draw from, to be inspired by for the next title. So I really do hope it's not the. I hope that this game sells well enough to get a sequel for sure. Um,
It sounds
you,
like it did.
yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
I think it's done fairly well, and critically pretty well as well.
I really
Um,
hope they don't do the Link thing though, where it's Elliot but not the same Elliot.
yeah, yeah. Well, I guess
Yeah, it's too much
what's
character. I think like
yeah,
Link is kind of an empty vessel,
for
whereas
sure.
Elliot had a lot of personality. So it's like, oh, you can't really be like, oh, the hero of time, sort of, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Elliot's made all these relationships with people, and he does. Yeah, he has a background, he has a story, his name, all these things. We learn about all that through the course of the game. I can't imagine that they would just throw it away. You could do a thing where, like, you go to his past, I guess, right, or like his literal past, and maybe he has adventures somewhere else before he comes back to this world. You could do like an interstitial kind of story like that, which is kind
Yeah,
of like what they do with Adol in
yeah,
these games too. So
yeah. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, it gets two thumbs up from both of us.
yeah.
wonderful game, definitely worth picking up. I know there's some folks that were waiting for sale, and I would say yeah, no problem. But definitely, I would be picking this up at some point just because it's like very good. Like this really deserves a franchise. I don't. Team Asano is just on fire. I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
like. I feel like Square is really leaning into um, this whole niche where they're like, you know what, this HD 2D is working for us. Like we're just putting our nose down and we're going full tilt. This is going like, and now they just dropped the latest Final Fantasy Resonance trailer,
Yeah, it looked great.
which is just incredible. And just like, man, like if this is where we're going with Square Enix for the next little bit, like man, like they've found their stride. Like between this and the Revelation, I just feel like Square's finally in like a really good place of uh, everything seems to be gold that's
Yeah,
coming out of
for
them
sure, for
lately.
sure.
You know,
They've got these two or multiple kind of streams, right? You have ones that are looking back at the past. How can we bring back either literally the games of the past or the sentiments of the past? And
yeah,
then the future, okay, how can we reinvent turn-based combat? How can we reinvent something that you were used to? We're going to make it different, but just as interesting. There's also like the fact that they're spending so much money on like a Final Fantasy VII remake Part 3. They have to find ways to be economical with their other game development streams too. And I think that's where you
yeah,
get something like HD2D, where you've got this technology, you're continually iterating on it and getting better with it. And I assume maybe able to produce better experience or different or better, more fleshed out experiences with the same maybe spending. I don't know. But I get that sense of like, this is why you're leaning so heavily into it, because you can pump out these games pretty quickly, right? In the 2 or 3 years, as opposed to like, 5 to 7 for some of these other AAA games. And you see some of those games like hundreds of millions of dollars to make, and they don't even necessarily recoup their budgets. But
yeah,
but with these smaller games, these HD2D games, I imagine it's that much easier to make your money back because you're not spending as much to bring them to life. And they can also have long tails as well through sales and other things like that, sequels and stuff too.
yeah. Well, they need a new tactics game. I don't care if it's Final Fantasy Tactics 2 or if it's Triangle Strategy 2. They need to get back into the tactics.
Yep, I'm with you there. I think that there must be plans for that somewhere. Like you're not just abandoning. Why else bring? Why else like remake, remaster Final Fantasy Tactics if not for kind of testing the waters again to see if there's an audience here for it? I think there very
Yeah.
clearly is.
Well, I feel like they could easily take the engine from Triangle Strategy, and
Yeah,
if they want to put the Final Fantasy spin on it, then good, good for them. Like maybe the cast of Triangle Strategy wasn't enough to like they want to give it that extra boost. Like if that's the case, then no problem. But that's what we need in my opinion. But
yep, with you there.
that and Elliot too.
Oh
So
yes, yeah. Our we pretend our wish list is short, but it's growing by the day. We
Not
just
that our
need this and
backlogs
this,
need
and
any
then
more
these,
games.
and it's like 20 other things,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I guess this is a good place to wrap things up. I'll just finish by letting people know that we've got multiple game clubs going on. I imagine by the time this comes out, the Final Fantasy II, the original pixel remaster version, will be just wrapping up the game club for that. But on August 1st, we will be starting a game club for The World Ends With You. Where I've played it before, but it's been gnawing in my brain for a few years since I played it to give it another go, and it seems like a lot of other people feel the same. So we're going to be doing that, and then we also have a Devil Survivor 2 game club coming up, as well as it's the summer of Square Enix, but it's the year of Shin Megami Tensei. So yeah, we'll have a few game clubs going on this summer. So yeah, I want to thank Jordan for you joining me with this review / spoiler cast of Elliot. It was a fun game, so look forward to what's coming up. Man, the schedule, the October between Trails in the Sky second chapter and Fortune's Weave coming out on the same friggin' day.
I know, it's so brutal, and that's what we know about. There's probably going to be other stuff too, right? There's always something like another maybe a smaller game, but one that could be just as compelling. Who knows? September, October, November. My goodness, always. God, what's the expression? Like Devil's Row, Devil's something. I'm trying to. I always hate this when I come up. I have an expression in my head like, Murderer's Row. Murder. That's close. Murderer's Row of absolutely must play RPGs, especially and other games too. But good to chat with you, David. Happy to pop on here. I'm sure we'll find some time around those heavy hitters in the fall, if not sooner.
Yep. So for now, I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you at the next Thirsty Mage. Bye for now.
See you later.